Hello, I'm Dr. Don Hall, founder of Lifelong Health. This is an organization that works with people throughout the United States and helping people find better health by making healthier lifestyle choices. And today we're going to be talking about high blood pressure, what you need to know for good health. You know, a lot of people say to me, why should I have my blood pressure checked? I feel just fine. And most people don't realize that you don't really have any symptoms with high blood pressure. You do feel just fine, but there may be damage occurring to your heart and brain and other organs because you've been ignoring a problem that's there that you may not be aware of. High blood pressure can do a lot of damage to your health if you aren't aware of it and take charge of it. It can cause heart attacks. Today we're seeing an increase in rise in heart failure due largely to high blood pressure. It can affect the brain. It can even increase the risk of Alzheimer's disease. But the good news is that if you find you have this problem and get something done about it, you can reduce those risks. Here's just a few statistics about high blood pressure that you may not know. High blood pressure is the second leading cause of preventable death in the United States. That's a pretty major factor that we may not be aware of. In fact, worldwide, the World Health Organization says high blood pressure is the #1 cause of early deaths, preventable deaths in the world. So we can see that it's one of the most common and most serious health problems in the United States. It's estimated that about 348,000 people die from high blood pressure and its complications each year. That's a lot of people, over 1/3 of a million people. And so again, what can we do to prevent those problems? If you figure that out, it's about 1,000 people per day. And you don't hear a lot about it on the news, perhaps. But if there was a war, a catastrophe, or some other problem where 1,000 people a day were dying, I'm sure it would make big news. So sometimes it's been called the silent killer. Now, there's only one way that you can know if your blood pressure is high, and that's to get it checked, isn't it? Looking at the population as a whole, about 1 out of every 3 people, about 31%, have high blood pressure. And of those people who do have high blood pressure, only about half, or actually less than half, about 47%, are getting their blood pressure under control. So you can see that that's a serious problem that reaches a lot of people. Now, what if we tend to ignore our blood pressure? What's going to happen? Well, high blood pressure seems to especially damage all the arteries or the organs connected with those arteries in our circulation. First would be the heart. If the blood pressure is high, it damages the heart directly, the heart muscle, because when the pressure is high, the heart has to beat against that high pressure, and it makes it do more work. And over many years, it wears the heart out sooner and results in heart failure. The high pressure also damages the arteries and makes cholesterol more likely to clog up those arteries and impair the circulation. And this results in coronary heart disease, our #1 cause of death in the United States. It can also affect the arteries in the brain and can result in stroke, and also doubles the risk of Alzheimer's disease. So you can see it's not a good idea to try to ignore high blood pressure. Other organs that it also affects are the eyes. High blood pressure is a contributing cause to blindness, and it also is one of the leading causes of kidney failure and kidney dialysis that people have to go on to sometimes later in life. So blood pressure, again, if we can catch it early, treat it, we can prevent many of these problems. Here's just a few statistics that give you an idea why these are important. 7 out of every 10 people who had their first heart attack had high blood pressure. 8 out of every 10 people who had their first stroke had high blood pressure. 7 out of every 10 people with chronic heart failure have high blood pressure. And so you can see it's very, very common in these problems. With these kind of statistics, you can see why it's important to get your blood pressure checked regularly and bring it under control. I'd like to just mention a few quick things that you can do to prevent high blood pressure, or if your blood pressure is high, what you can do to lower it. 1, be more active. As you're exercising, you actually help your blood pressure, your blood vessels to stay soft and distensible because they get used to opening up, let the blood through as you're exercising, and it reduces afterwards. And that exercise for those blood vessels is good, keeps them soft and distensible, keeps the blood pressure down. We'd like to have you aim for about at least half an hour of some vigorous exercise every day, like brisk walking, maybe bicycling. If you like to work and do active gardening, mowing your lawn, anything that gets you out and gets you to breathe in a little harder, gets the heart rate up a little bit, that's good exercise for the arteries in the heart. So regular physical activity is one of the very best ways we know of keeping blood pressure from occurring, or if you have high blood pressure, to help bring it down. Number 2 is to watch your weight. As the weight goes up, so does blood pressure. Every excess pound of fat puts actually extra miles of blood pressure, blood vessels that your heart has to pump blood through, and that causes the blood pressure to go up. And so even if you lose 10 pounds or so, it doesn't have to be that you have to lose all of your excess weight, but even just a few pounds can make a significant difference in your blood pressure. Along with that, let's look at sodium, salt. Too much salt in the diet can cause the blood pressure to be high. And we're finding that that's a very common occurrence. The average person eats about twice what's recommended for good health. So we need to watch salt, look at the labels, see how much sodium is in foods, and try to reduce those. Don't drink alcohol. People who drink heavily of alcohol, more likely to have high blood pressure. Not smoking. People who smoke, blood pressure tends to be higher. Then there's some other things that are important too that we may not think about so much. Getting your sleep. If you get regular sleep at night, your body relaxes. It helps to restore yourself to a normal, healthy resting level, and your blood pressure levels come down. Even a nap can be helpful in the middle of the day. Eating more fruits and vegetables. I find a lot of data showing that these foods are especially protective of high blood pressure for 2 reasons. One, natural fruits and vegetables are very low in sodium. Tomato might only have 3 milligrams of sodium. A can of tomatoes canned, or tomato sauce like in spaghetti, might have 400, 500, 600 milligrams. You can see that it's the salt and sodium added to foods that cause the problem. So eating the fresh fruits and vegetables is helpful. Secondly, they're also high in potassium. And we're finding that potassium is very helpful in actually bringing blood pressure down. So aim for at least, this may sound high, but 5 to 9 servings a day is what the government's recommending in the DASH diet, which has been designed particularly to lower your blood pressure. As your fruit and vegetable intake goes up, the blood pressure comes down. Then just learning to relax and limit stress in our life. It's easier said sometimes than done. But we can't be pushing ourselves all of the time. We also need time to relax and refresh the body, do something fun, something that will allow you to just let the body relax and restore, get rid of those high stress hormones that build up in our body. Then, of course, it's important to get your blood pressure checked regularly. You don't know unless you get it checked how it's doing. And as you begin to make lifestyle changes, it's fun to see that blood pressure coming down over time. Another good reason to find it getting it checked. And if it's necessary, of course, there are medications. You'd want to talk to your doctor, and they can prescribe medications that can bring that blood pressure down while you're making some of these lifestyle changes, so you can stop the damage that occurs from the high blood pressure. We hope this information will be helpful and make a change in your life to prevent high blood pressure, or if your blood pressure is high, what you can do to lower it.